what's going through my mind is the Mitchell trade happened almost a week ago. I think it happened, today's Monday. It happened, on like Wednesday or some shit, or Thursday? Um, why hasn't Melo signed to a team yet?
I just don't think he has it anymore.
Should any team want Carmelo Anthony?
Blasphemous.
Yes, sir, Carmelo.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Control the Narrative, a podcast where we control the narrative that the media creates. If you're new around here, subscribe to catch our weekly podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And if you're a returner, a subscriber, or better yet, a member, like this fine gentleman is joining us tonight, we appreciate you a little bit more. FYI, just a quick intro. I know it's been a while. It's been almost 2 months since we recorded our last podcast. A lot has happened in 2 months in the offseason, which we'll get to in a minute. But we are throwing a Knicks tape movie premiere screening on Thursday, September 29th at 7 p.m. in New York City. Go to knickstapedoc.com. Tickets are not available yet if you're watching this on Wednesday, but we're going to make it available real soon. It'll be a real good idea if you are really interested in going to this party, which I highly recommend that you should. It's going to be fun as fuck. Go to our website, shopcontrolthenarrative.com, and sign up for our newsletter. Scroll down a little and subscribe, because we want to give our members first access to these tickets, and then our newsletter subscribers, and then we'll post it out on social. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that hit us up saying, yo, I couldn't get a ticket and all this stuff. So if you watch the podcast, and if you listen to this, and if you subscribe to a newsletter or became a member, you would have first dibs. That's the point of kind of being in this Control Insider member circle. So if you want a ticket and you're listening, go there, controlthenarrative.com, subscribe to a newsletter, or become a member, because we give our members first priority to everything, like things like this, merch sales, things like that. So with all that being said, it's been a long 2 months, and we are bringing back a staple on Control at this point. He literally changed his major to sports management, word on the street, because he enjoyed recording these podcasts and being in the basketball sphere so much. So Evan, welcome back, my guy.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's been a while. It's been a long fucking off season. Here we are on September 5th, and I saw you wrote in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, link in the description right now. Who would have thought? Here we are, September 5th. Carmelo Anthony is still not on the team. Obviously, there were a lot of things in the offseason that put shit on pause, whether it was the KD Kyrie situation, whether it was this Donovan Mitchell thing, and we'll get all into that in a little bit. But I just wanted to ask you off the top, how has your offseason been as a basketball fan? What has stuck out as you? What are your just general feelings about everything, excluding Carmelo Anthony so far?
Well, you know me, like you, we're big Knicks fans, so general frustration as always with just the drama this summer with the Donovan Mitchell deal. I think we both could say that we're happy that they didn't trade RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, 3 unprotected first-round picks and pick swaps. But I think you'd have to be crazy to say that you wouldn't have want Donovan Mitchell on your team in general. So there's a give-take there, because it's another year of potential mediocrity. Or
wait, are you frustrated with? Is the word you use frustrated?
Frustrated, just in terms of, like, at the end of the day, they made the right decision, not caving to the unrealistic expectation in the end, but not getting Donovan Mitchell after those 2 months is frustrating nonetheless, you know?
Fair.
We wanted to have him, and I think Carmelo wanted to have him. I think there'd be a much larger possibility Carmelo would be signed with the Knicks by now if the Donovan Mitchell trade went through. That's what I personally believe. So in terms of that, I find it a bit frustrating, but pretty uneventful free agency, so not too much.
Yeah, I mean, the Donovan Mitchell was obviously like the last domino to fall. It fell not even a week ago, and again, the whole summer, everyone's thinking, holy shit, Knicks are going to get Donovan Mitchell. And then when they didn't get him, obviously the NBA Twitter world went into LOL, like Knicks, the Knicks for clicks type shit, which, again, they made the right move. I was happy that they didn't pull the trigger at the end of the day.
They would have done LOL Knicks either way, we all know.
Facts. So, again, like you said, if Donovan Mitchell is a Knick right now, I think there's a pretty good chance that Carmelo Anthony is a Knick right now, or in the very near future, but didn't come true. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But I agree with you. I think it's been Just a lot of like pump faking, KD, Kyrie, just a lot of shit going on that didn't really result in anything. So like Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland, they're obviously really good now. Let's get into the Melo shit. Obviously, without New York, and we'll get into New York in a second. Melo had to have had backup plans if Donovan Mitchell did not go to the Knicks. Yo, real quick, sorry to interrupt if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but just wanted to let you know that we have merch at Control the Narrative, and it's pretty fire, in my opinion. This is the Pixel Melo t-shirt that I'm rocking. Anything from Cuse Melo to New York Melo, Hoodie Melo. On this shirt, we got Scapegoat merch, we got Blackball merch, we got just regular Control merch. Shop CTRL the Narrative.com. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, stickers. Shop CTRL the Narrative.com. I think I got my point across. Go check it out. I bet you'll find something you like. Appreciate the support as well. Obviously, the merch sales help us fund these podcast episodes that we get to record every single week. So appreciate you. And back to the show. Days after, there's been rumors. Scoop B has reported. Gary Washburn, both former Control the Narrative guests, have been both reporting that Carmelo to the Celtics, the Boston Celtics, is picking up some steam. When you hear that, what goes through your mind?
A little bit of nerves with the rotation, to be honest, because like we talked about this before the show, they have a nice looking front court. Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams was a terrific finals front court. And then they had Grant Williams coming right off the bench to fill that role for the backup, like spot up shooter, similar role to Melo in terms of just like power forward ish, some like small ball center, like spot up shooter. And, with a team that has that much success and the narratives that we have to deal with in the NBA, regardless of what people's opinions are, is Carmelo a more effective player than Grant Williams or this or that? It's hard to imagine a world in which the runner-up NBA champions insert a 38-year-old with a pretty bad rep around the league just to completely take over their lineup and get decent minutes. So it's hard to imagine a world where he could even get 15 minutes a night. So it just scares me that way, because I didn't think Danilo Gallinari was signing for a deal to play more than 15 minutes a night in general. So I think when you compare it to other teams around the league, like Miami, for instance, it has all the same upside of contention and just a good roster to make a good run, with a lot more of the risk of whether he's going to be implemented and effective.
Fair. You think Melo has a bad rap around the league?
I know. I think it's the narrative. I don't think a coach were to say like, oh, I think Carmelo's a bad defender. Like, I don't think a coach would have it that directly, but it's like, would I interrupt my lineup for a guy with the perception of that's all around Twitter, worst defender in the league, all this bullshit? It's just like, it puts a lot of pressure. It's just pressure, honestly. Yeah. Like on these organizations to make a change. That's why I'm saying Miami doesn't make a change. They have to fill a role. Boston, to implement Carmelo Anthony, would have to take a second best team in the league and then make a change to their front court.
That's fair.
And that's a big risk that I don't know if they have the balls to have, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. Like when they signed Gallinari, I thought it made sense. Like just a guy off the bench that could give you offense. And, obviously the team went to the finals last year. So you look at the front court, all the guys you just named, that's four guys who are going to get a lot of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And like some of the guys can be in foul trouble. What if one of those guys gets hurt? But like they just went to the finals. So to your point, I don't know how much they'd want to change. Like obviously in the finals, they struggled kind of on both ends of the court. Offensively too, outside of Tatum, he struggled just doing kind of everything in the finals. And a guy like Melo would have helped them big time. So I don't know if that's kind of how they look at it. But I look at it and I just think like, where does Melo fit on that team? Of course, they can change shit, but to your point, like, do they want to change shit? Again, they didn't win the championship, so if you don't win the championship, you have to be open to change. But when I think about that, man, the first thing that comes to my mind as a New Yorker, as a Knicks fan, is like, holy shit, seeing Melo in green and white, and like the fact that they're interested in Melo is wild to me. And again, Melo spent most of his career in Denver, but like the prime years of his career in New York. So Celtics were always a big rival, and they knocked us out in the playoffs one year. We knocked them out of the playoffs one year. New York, Boston, it has all the KG Melo thing. So the fact that they're interested in him, I think says a lot about, to your point, the narratives that he's changed and controlled by just what he's been able to do since he came back into the league a few years ago with Portland. But I don't know. I just don't know how much they'd want to change. And again, like, you take the ball out of Tatum's hands and like let Melo isolate and play make. Like, what role does he fit there? I feel like Grant Williams is like the perfect role player for that team. And do you take minutes away from him to give it to Melo to like
and
ISO or
they're not trying to reduce his minutes, they're trying to grow it anyways.
Yeah.
And I just thought of something that I think a lot of people could look over. The Malcolm Brogdon trade, amazing for Boston. I think that was the perfect offseason acquisition. But think about how that affects their rotation. In the playoffs, I believe Jaylen Brown was playing the 2 because Marcus Smart had to play the 1. Now, I think everything gets pushed back to squeeze the front court out because Malcolm Brogdon's their go-to 1. Marcus Smart's going to be the 2. They're not going to put him to the bench. Jaylen Brown's going to be the natural small forward that he should be. Jason Tatum's going to be the 4. And then you're going to have probably Robert Williams, which means then you have, Al Horford and Grant Williams already coming off the bench as opposed to just one of them.
Before this episode, I was Googling some stuff about the Celtics, and apparently Brogdon might be coming off the bench.
I understand we don't know for sure, but one, he's a good player, and the whole thing was they really lacked playmaking, so it's hard to imagine they make this trade for a pretty good point guard and just send him to the bench. I don't believe it, especially because those positions that I just laid out make sense. Jaylen Brown makes sense at the 3. Tatum could play the 4, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Fair, and then also like you mentioned it quickly, I didn't get to it, but since they went to the finals, this is one of the best chances for Melo to win a ring in his career. Like in his career,
100%.
When he went to LA, they got knocked out first round the year before. So
I
if
think
he
the
goes
Malcolm
to Boston,
Brogdon edition. I think the Malcolm Brogdon edition and the Warriors' increase in age makes Celtics the biggest contender of all.
Yeah, and Tatum played like shit. So imagine he had a semi-decent finals. Like, they might be champions. So again, if Melo were to join that team and then they win this year, he could be looked at as one of the guys that got him over the hump, which is something that we've talked about for I don't know how many years now. But
or he could be Gary Payton on the 2006 Heat when people say, "Oh, he won a ring on the Heat." So I just something I talk about with a lot of people regarding like this Melo stuff. Like I know Sean on our podcast the other day, we had a hour phone call, just basically something like just discussing what we think about the situation. And my biggest fear is just like, this is year 20. We don't know. We were talking about this before the show too. We have no idea how many years left. This could very well be the last year. And while I want what's like best for him, like, and like to go get a ring, it's like, it's scary to think about the possibility that he spends another year in a role that we're all angry about. We the last year with the Lakers, the year before that with Portland, like the second year of Portland, like the first year was good, of course, but the second year of Portland, and then like, Houston, Oklahoma City. If we were to spend one more year and wrap up Melo's career, just disappointed that he didn't go to a team where he could have we got to see him play, because that's what we want to do. Like, it's entertainment. We just want to see him ball out, and it just scares the hell out of me, the chance of that just like being taken away from us.
Yeah, to be honest with you, dude, I don't really see many teams that he could go to and like really be a featured guy. Like Miami, not like a featured guy, the number one guy. He like you said, he could probably be like top 3 or 4 options on that team, but like
when we say feature, we mean like first year Portland feature.
Right. Yeah. And it was funny. I was actually watching those bubble highlights the other day, and I was like, damn, that was so much fun. Like the bubble, like them winning, but also Melo being like one of the guys like who was helping them win, starting. That was fun as
And they lost in the first round, and I think we would have gladly taken that season where we had so much fucking fun, rather than if he had like an Otto Porter role, or potentially even less of like a championship team. Like, I don't know, Otto Porter did have a good run, but I know he's a bad. So
maybe like what's the
Bielitsa?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what.
Maybe him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, Otto Porter would be good. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think we would all rather at least watch him play rather than him win and not play. I think that's like a consensus.
Fair. All right. We can answer this one pretty quickly because we just talked about Boston for a little bit. Another team that, again, we talked about before this podcast, but another team that keeps getting brought up in these rumors that Melo might be interested, that they might be interested in Melo, is the Brooklyn Nets. So, again, who knows really if they have a roster spot because they just signed Markieff Morris and, their front court, they got fucking KD, they got Claxton, they got Morris now.
I think Simmons is arguably front court.
Ben Simmons now. So, they got some guys, but
TJ Warren,
who could play the 4 for sure, or the 3 at the very least.
Because I think O'Neal is going to have to be the 3. So this is why I think it's not even an option. When you look at how the lineup goes, they had a 10-man rotation before they signed Markieff Morris, who arguably has Carmelo's same role.
All right, last interruption, because if you're watching or listening to the podcast for this long, you probably fuck with us. And if you fuck with us, you'll probably fuck with all the perks that you get from being a Control the Narrative member, whether that's access to our invite-only Discord where we're talking basketball all the time, or opportunities to join the next episode of Control. So whenever we need a guest, I go in our Discord, I say, yo, who's free? Who wants to hop on the next episode? And I pick from there. You get 20% off merch forever, and then you also get member-exclusive merch, all by being a member. Tiers start at $2 a month. So if you fuck with us, go check out a membership, CTRLthenarrative.com, and I will see you in the Discord. All right, back to the show for good. Okay, so Evan, if it comes down to it, and you had to pick one as a New York Knicks fan, would you rather see Melo play as a Boston Celtic or a Brooklyn Net next season?
Boston Celtic.
Just saw the disgust in your face.
Bro, Brooklyn is right. It's right there. That's literally the same city. It's just it would be like heartbreaking.
But that's Boston.
But it's in New York and not New York playing. Not if you were playing in New York and playing not for the Knicks, that would just be so. We're not I don't consider. I truly I've been a diehard Knicks fan for 10 years. We haven't been good enough to feel even rivalrous with the Celtics. You know what I mean? It's yeah, we beat them 10 years ago in the playoffs with Melo, and it's okay, since then, nothing's really happened with them. So, I mean, the Nets are just in our city. So that's why I definitely would rather see Boston.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors that go into this. Obviously, he wants to be close to his son, playing in Queens and shit like that. So, there's so many factors. We're not gonna go through all of them. But for me, man, when I just think about the Celtics and the Pierce, KG, Ray Allen, Rondo, and those teams, and then I think of the Nets and what they're trying to be and shit. The only reason I'm gonna say Boston is because they have a legit chance of winning, a real legit chance of winning. They're one of the top 3 favorites, top 4 favorites this year, and Brooklyn got swept by them last year. So obviously, you add Ben Simmons. Is Ben Simmons gonna make the Nets? Is he going to make that team so drastically different from getting swept in the first round to winning the finals? Highly doubt it.
No, and also
highly doubt it.
Teams that have 2 players, if they're starting Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton, and you have 2 players on a court that cannot take an open mid-range shot, that's going to create a lot of issues for Kyrie and KD.
That's why they need guys like Melo.
Not
pleading for them whatsoever, but
no, I agree they need it. I think again they traded for Royce O'Neal. They're going to play Royce O'Neal a lot of minutes. Joe Harris, remember, money politics in the NBA. Joe Harris is still on a $70 million contract. If he's healthy and his reputation for shooting, he's playing. Seth Curry is playing. Patty Mills is playing. Where is Melo fitting? TJ Warren is fine. TJ Warren's last time playing basketball, he just had 53 points.
Yo, they got guys, and the thing about Melo with these off seasons. And not that he does this every time, but signing so late, I feel it just allows teams to build game plans just like this. I feel this is a perfect example of that Thunder year where the Knicks traded him so late and they didn't have a plan for Melo. And now which team can he go to that they could be yo, yep, we got a plan for you. We
Miami's the only one.
I was gonna say Miami makes 100% sense.
Everyone said they had their only offseason move was losing PJ Tucker.
They re-signed Udonis Haslam too
Oh yeah,
to be an assistant coach on the bench, but they made zero moves, like zero.
And again, but Butler and Lowry are players I trust, especially because they're not like prone like natural scorers. Like those are like leaders that I would appreciate Melo being around. Like I would trust them to like feed him the ball and stuff. Spoelstra respects Melo. They have a pretty good relationship. I honestly think, again, aside from my emotions wanting him to be in New York, Miami is just objectively a better destination than all 29 other teams in terms of role.
I don't disagree. And again, very legit chance to win. They're one of the top 5 favorites this year. So they just need fucking offense. And what can our guy do better than almost anyone who's ever played this game? So again, from the beginning, like literally we can go back and look at, our power rankings of teams. Like from day one, I said Miami of the offseason. Miami makes the most sense. If we're talking about chance to contribute and a chance to win. And then again, this discussion, maybe by me, I know some other people talk about it too, but like, he's ring chasing. He's hopping from team to team to team to team. And like Boston would be another one of those teams that our guy Joe put in the Discord, and shout out to Joe, where he was like, I don't want to see Melo on another team, which is fair. It's so fair because this would be a 6th team in 7 years.
That's it crazy. Really just kills me because I genuinely believe wholeheartedly that if Donovan Mitchell trade went through and a power forward it was automatic,
100%
without question. So I feel bad for me, but I feel bad for him because I feel like he was excited. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to have been excited for the idea of like coming back, and again his kids here, like just playing on a team he knew like wouldn't expect to be winning. Like,
all right, let's get into it right now because this is the second to last question.
Gotcha.
Do you think New York still makes sense? You're saying no?
I have to be honest with myself that it does not make sense. I again, if I saw the report right now, breaking news, Carmelo signs the Knicks, I would not be able to help being happy. But it does not make sense. I mean, no. Now, actually, I'm assuming Randall is dealt because now we know they're keeping Toppin. They're not trading him in the near future because until there's a potential disgruntled star, which is not going to be for at least a few months. But we know the Knicks want to move Randall. And then I'm conflicted because as a Knicks fan, Randall is not a negative asset. I do not think he's negative. It depends what you want to do. Do you want
to? It depends which Randall we get.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that you have all NBA potential, I understand. I'm not saying he's going to be all NBA, but a guy who has all NBA potential, making again what he's been making less than 25 million, right, or around 25 million.
I thought it was like 18, but I could be wrong.
I think that was
definitely wrong.
Extension.
I'm definitely wrong.
No, it's in the 20s, but I think it's low to mid 20s.
29.
29 for real? Okay, I take that back.
Yeah, it says an annual 4-year, 117 mil.
Oh, my bad. Regardless, again, since they don't need that cap space right now. Again, they're not like, unless they genuinely wanted to like tank for Wembanyama or something. Having a guy that has all NBA potential on a roster that he's used to with players that he's played with before, he's not negative for you to attach a pick. Again, like I think he would make teams better. I think if he went to Phoenix, he'd make them better. I think if he'd went to Miami, he'd make them better. So if you're trading a guy to make another team better, he's not a negative asset. So I'm just saying, it's just there's so many conflicting situations in my mind that's really confusing because Melo would only be able to come if a power forward were dumped. The Knicks want to dump a power forward, but again, as a general manager, it's not smart to trade Julius Randle at his lowest possible stock when you don't have anything to gain immediately out of it. Like
Carmelo.
Is that as in terms of the Knicks franchise? Signing Carmelo is not a priority, of course. So I'm saying it makes sense. You dump Kemba and Nerlens Noel's contract because you have imminent plans to sign Jalen Brunson. You need the money. There's not a urgent reason to dump Julius Randle for nothing or negative nothing.
Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. I just look at it as if they sign Mitchell, I didn't think they were going to win the finals anyway. So now that they did not trade for Mitchell, they're definitely not going to even come close to the finals. Like if they make the playoffs, that's a hell of a season, I think. And if they trade Randall, which rumor Jonathan Macri from the Knicks said that they are trying to before the season.
I believe that too.
So if they are trying to trade Randall, I don't even know to who or for what.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make a Westbrook deal.
I don't know. I don't know.
In terms of the
Apparently the Lakers don't want Randall though.
I mean, in terms of the Lakers, I think Randall and Fournier for Westbrook would be amazing for them.
For the Lakers.
That's what I'm saying.
But for the Knicks, it's like, why the fuck would you do that?
No, if you get one pick back.
Yeah, if you get one pick back, and I guess to get rid of Fournier, I know they've been trying to get rid of him, but like,
I think Fournier. I'd much rather get rid of Fournier than Randall.
Nah, I wouldn't. I'd rather get rid of Randall just from the sake that Melo.
There's two mindsets. There's pure GM.
The Knicks or the Melo. Yeah.
I want to go into sports management. We don't know who's watching. I gotta be objective.
It's like, yo, future employers, like, look, I'm looking at both sides right now.
Playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. No, that's it. Like with Randall and Toppin on the roster, it doesn't make sense. But if again they trade Randall and for whatever reason, Melo then suddenly makes so much sense. And now what's going through my mind is the Mitchell trade happened almost a week ago. I think it happened, today's Monday. It happened on like Wednesday or some shit, or Thursday. Why hasn't Melo signed to a team yet? Like he had to have known, all right, if this happens, like I'm probably going to go to the Knicks. If this doesn't happen, here's what I'm going to do. Now we hear these Celtics talks ramping up. So obviously the Celtics were a team in the back of his mind, but also
maybe he's waiting out for Randall.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I think that's a strong possibility.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
And I do have to give another counterpoint to my million counterpoints of why it would be good for him to go to New York.
Go for it.
Again, you did say, like, of course, they weren't winning the championship with Donovan Mitchell. Things they would have high expectations with Donovan Mitchell. The thing is now, the Knicks are a weird team because they could. I think if they were like the 12th seed, we wouldn't be like blown away. And if they were like the 6th seed, we wouldn't be like absolutely blown away. Because again, this was a team. I know, of course, the East got a hell of a lot better. But this was a team that was the 4th seed with a worse roster. You're having an RJ Barrett 2 more years into his prime, Emmanuel Quigley 2 more years into his prime, Jalen Brunson, who could very much, very well have a breakout year. So if you take a team that has extremely low potential, like again, people are gonna, like, if they trade Randall, it's really gonna be a thing of like, oh, like playing the kids, it's like a rebuild kind of year. But, if RJ Barrett takes the next step and Jalen Brunson takes the next step, and the Knicks have a surprising year with Melo incorporating the low expectations, having not gotten Mitchell, that could be the recipe to the best narrative we could get out of him. Do you follow that?
100%.
So I think that kind of excites me, where Donovan Mitchell, I guess there is a capped level of a Melo appreciation when you know that Donovan Mitchell is the leader, then Barrett, then Randall, and Melo is such a down-the-line guy. But if Melo really makes an impact on a team that no one expected to go anywhere, and they still don't go anywhere, but they go somewhere, just like literally make the playoffs, they have a couple wins in the playoffs, we'd have fun.
100%. And more than anything, making an impact on winning, of course, an impact on winning, but also an impact on the players.
100%.
Like all these players fucking look up to him. Can you imagine what Melo could do for Obi?
Yeah.
Like that would be exciting. And then who knows if he plays another year after this year and like they're in the Eastern Conference Finals or they're in the second round.
They get the star the year after.
And Melo is a piece of that. And then they win the championship, 2 years later, and like Melo
40,
even though he wouldn't be on that roster, probably not.
Udonis Haslem style.
Yeah, if he probably wouldn't be on that roster, but maybe he's one of those guys who, they tip their hat to, not like in the fucking post game speech after they won the finals, like, yo, Carmelo helped us out. But I'm sure guys like RJ and Obi and guys like that would be like, yo, Melo taught us a lot, like in some sort of interview. And again, the whole narrative of him being in New York and being the Knicks savior like we all thought he was going to be. Not his fault, but I think that's a really cool way to end the career.
That's where – so I think New York has the most potential, and it's like the highest risk, highest reward situation. Yeah. So, again, risk scares me in year 20.
Wait, but what risk? Like, what would be the risk of him coming back?
Just coming to a team that's trying to, like, play the youth and they're losing, and he's taking any sort of minutes from Obi whatsoever. And it's just like, again, it's just year 20, another not making the playoffs in general. Like we also want to see him on winning basketball. So that's the risk, because all the other teams.
I think that's low risk though, Evan. Like you don't think that's as risky as like what he did last year, going to the Lakers and then missing the fucking playoffs. Like that to me is way more risky. Or like him going to the Celtics.
Different types of risk, you're right.
And they don't get to the conference finals. Then it's like, yo, you just wasted. Like at least in New York, it's like, yo, you're helping the kids. You're in New York.
Nah, I
That's
guess
where my mind's at.
I kind of shift between two thought processes, and I'm thinking of like kind of reputation. But at this point, like, who the fuck cares? He's gonna get shit on for the dumbest shit anyways. Like, oh my god, the second half of the season, because of something a rookie said, everyone changed their perception of how he plays half the time on defense. Like, you can't control what people are gonna think about him. Despite
we're trying to, yeah,
we're our beautiful podcast.
We're trying
to. So I'm honestly changing my mind as we're talking. Of just like, I do think a lot about like what's best for his perception around the league, but at the end of the day, NBA Twitter is going to NBA Twitter. So
I know, bro. If he ring chases, people are going to say, yo, he's ring chasing. And if he goes to a team like New York, people are going to say he doesn't give a fuck about winning. So it's really a lose-lose. It really, really is in terms of like NBA Twitter and NBA Instagram and all this bullshit. But for me, and obviously at the end of the fucking day, he's going to make the decision based on what makes him most happy. If the potential to win a ring makes him the most happy, he might go to Boston. He might go to Phoenix. If staying by his son in his sophomore year in high school makes him the most excited, he's gonna come to the Knicks or go to the Knicks. So like it really is on him. But like for us, again, because like we have these combos, and then there's people who are like, yo, who gives a fuck about what you think and like all this shit. I'm like, bro, we're fan. Like, not that our opinion matters or any shit like that. Like, yo, he should listen to us, but like it's the story, dude. Like we're telling the narrative behind
like
it.
These Twitter narratives, as dumb as they are half the time, it's like these echo chambers, and like it spreads, and it influences how you remember players 100%. And so like as dumb as someone's stupid tweet can be, like the whole system, like it makes an impact on their legacy 100%.
Yeah. And speaking of that, like a single tweet, I wanted to give a quick shout out because QMB311 is his Twitter at. His tweets, we had him on the podcast a while back, but his tweets are fucking fire. Like, he doesn't tweet too often, but he tweets some shit. Like, this was his most recent one, August 22nd. He'll come like every 2 weeks with a banger. NBA players field goal percentage trying to ISO Carmelo Anthony by the years. 2020, 14 for 45, 31%. 2021, 19 for 58, 33%. 2022, 15 for 46, 32%. So things like that. Only has 84 retweets, which like decent amount, 285 likes, but shit like that people see, and it's like, holy shit, like, damn, all right. Melo's defense isn't as bad as people say. Just got on that tangent, but I love shit like that. Like, also, that's why I try to make shit like that too.
I got a shout out at King of Sorrow, who's in our Discord, and I see every Melo tweet. Again, like these are just random accounts that are just shitting on him for some reason. I see him copy paste the same like list of Lakers defenders and like their defensive. I appreciate all the troopers who try to control the narrative.
Yeah, that's our guy Kevin. He's a beast. We've had him on a few times too.
Yeah, of course.
Dope. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens with this Randall shit. And again, we've been waiting for 2 months.
I do have to say, I just obviously, I mean, you somewhat. I don't know Carmelo. Never spoken to him in my life, but just years of following him, you kind of gauge someone's personality and what they value and what annoys them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Carmelo wants to ride a bench. Like he's not the type. Doesn't want to be like a David West. I'm trying to think of other equivalents. He likes basketball too much he would be unhappy on a winning team not playing. Like I have trouble believing the Celtics is going to come to fruition because I just can't see it. I don't think it fits him. So but that's why I'm confused. I'm really surprised we haven't seen a single report about Miami, because because also Miami kind of fits like, you know, he's a lifestyle guy too at his age too. Like that's a good lifestyle city. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'd understand why if Minnesota was the perfect fit, he wouldn't want to go to Minnesota. But I'm really wrapping my head around why it's not even been an article about that, but I do still have a gut feeling that like he wants to be in New York, and he's just
Of
like,
course, dude. He would have signed
it's-
if he didn't want to.
exactly. So just randomly signing with the Celtics right now, I don't fully see it, but
And hey, we're recording this on September 5th on Monday. By the time we post this, he could have picked a team. Like we could have a report
every day,
Yeah, we could literally have a report tomorrow or Wednesday being like, oh,
or not
Carmelo
for
signed.
another 2 weeks. It's torture.
Or we could be a week before training camp and be like, yo, Melo still doesn't pick the team. So
But just so anyone
No
knows, he's not retiring. No one that's not a pot for the few people who like say like no, he's
know, I see
posting.
that.
He posts pictures of him training. Please do not suggest that he's contemplating retirement.
I've seen that too. It's like, yo, is Melo gonna retire? It's like, no, dude. Any team in the league would fucking
Grinding a little too hard for
What's that?
retirement right now.
yeah, fair. All right, Ev. Usually, again, it's been a while. If people watch this far, like, shout out to you for real. You're a real fan. You really fuck with us. You really
We
fuck with
talked for a
Melo.
while when I'm on.
Yeah. No, so what we usually do at the end is we allow our guests to control a narrative. Doesn't matter which narrative. It could be Melo related, it could be basketball related, it doesn't even have to be sports related. But for this one, we're gonna do it a little bit different. Not because it's been 2 months or whatever, but because one morning I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw these two dudes on a podcast do a fruit draft. Like, yo, what is your favorite fruit? What is the best fruit? And they did they went, all right, I pick, you pick, I pick, you pick, went back and forth. I just did it with a couple of my close friends, and it was fun. I put it on my Instagram story. Evan really liked my choices, so he reached out to me on Instagram. So the narrative we're going to control now at this point, and this is what happens when Melo doesn't sign for 2 months into the offseason. We have to start talking about shit like this. We're going to do a little fruit draft.
Yeah, this is a direction of where this podcast is going.
So once Melo retires, I don't know if I'm just going to let out the secret. We're literally turning into a food podcast about controlling narratives about food. Totally fucking kidding. But the way this is going to work, Evan, is you could get first pick or the second and third. So it's gonna be a snake. So if you get first,
I'm gonna go second and third.
You're gonna go second and third. Okay.
There's a lot of good options for one.
Okay. So the number one pick, and again, this is just completely subjective.
How many rounds?
We got 5 picks, so
Gotcha.
5 rounds. So let me just get my list of fruit ups.
Got my power ranking.
Fruit ups, yeah. My list of fruits up, and I don't know which ones you like. You have a fucking advantage because you know which ones I like. I think.
I don't remember being like
Okay.
You did a few. Like I'm going into this thinking about myself here.
Okay, cool. So we're picking based on what fruit we like.
Scout too much for this fruit draft.
Okay, but all the good things you said for your future employer. I don't know if that was a good comment right there. All right, with the number one pick of the fruit draft, and this is going on main, by the way. Like everyone's gonna see this.
Yeah.
My number one pick of my fruit draft that I need to have is mango.
Steve, that was my number one. So
yeah,
that was a good ass pick.
So
all right,
go 2, 3.
With the number 2 pick, I have to go watermelon. Great summertime snack, refreshing, just a fun fruit. And number 3 for my second pick might be controversial, but the versatility of the banana is
why is that controversial?
Because it's not as fun as like a mango or watermelon, but it's just a snack on the go, great for shakes, goes great with peanut butter. Like it's the most versatile fruit if you think about it.
All right, mango. Banana was probably my second. I was seriously considering a number 1, but I feel like I had to go mango. Fair. All right, my next 2 picks, I got mango. I'm gonna go pineapple. Damn. I don't need to say anything about pineapple. It speaks for itself. And I got a lot of slack for this one. Should I go this route? Or should I go a different route? Nope. I'm sticking to my guns. I don't give a fuck what people say. I'm going cantaloupe. I think cantaloupe is extremely underrated. And for anyone who doesn't like it, either you don't like sweets or you just don't like... You never had a good cantaloupe.
I think people sleep on it because it's one of those fruits that's hard to tell when it's ripe. So a lot of people have some shitty cantaloupe.
And like it's the filler of fruit salads and shit like that and honeydew is so fair. But
yeah.
All right, I got mango, pineapple, and cantaloupe right now.
So this is going to be my 3rd and 4th pick, I believe. With the 3rd pick, I'm going to do a dynamic duo. Peach and plum. I'm just going with the summertime theme.
Fucker, man.
Those are my third and fourth choice.
Plum people sleep on. People sleep on plums.
100%. 100%.
All right. My last two to finish out is going to be... I'm going to have to go with... I don't want to go too melon, so I'm going to go coconut.
Good pick.
I'm going to go coconut just because that's also... I love coconut water, and like I think coconut itself is delicious.
Coconut flavoring is one of the best
Right.
flavors of anything.
We're talking like fruit because my friend was like, no, you just like candied coconut but we're talking like fruit, so like the fruit of coconut.
No, yeah, no. That the good meat, good coconut.
Yeah. Damn, and I guess I'll go grapes.
All right.
I guess I'll go grapes to round that
We
up.
said so I listed 10 fruit. So and these were the exact 10. With my last pick, I take strawberry.
Okay.
So let's just lay out our picks.
Say your team.
I'm remembering. I'm blanking. Fuck.
You had banana,
Um.
watermelon.
Yes, I got it. Okay. I got banana, watermelon, peach, plum, strawberry.
All right. Going up against mango, pineapple, cantaloupe, grapes, and coconut.
That's a good
pretty
match.
evenly matched.
I think the audience is gonna have to
That's pretty evenly matched.
figure this one out. That was a great way to end the show.
That was good. I think we might have to do that with every single guest that comes on moving
We're never
forward.
controlling another narrative again.
Yeah. But dope, man. Evan, I know I hit you up last minute, but you're becoming a staple on this shit. It's been fun.
Of course.
We'll see what happens, man. It's been over 2 months in free agency, and like again, the landscape and the dynamic of everything has been changing crazy. So we'll see what happens. Again, we could be waiting another 2 weeks, or we could be waiting another 2 hours or 2 days. Like we really have no fucking idea. But I don't know. I think we both agree that objectively Miami makes the most sense. But for me, I'm pulling for the Knicks to trade Randall and for Melo to come back.
Maybe
home.
I was speaking so highly of Randall to convince some front offices to trade for him.
There you go. Playing
Yeah,
chess, baby.
but I did
Not
this whole
checkers.
process.
All right. So, all right, real quick. What do you want to happen? One second.
What do I want to happen? I shouldn't be embarrassed because I argue with a lot of people in our Discord about who really care if they're not from New York and stuff. They care about being a contender. It would make me the most happy to see Carmelo on the Knicks without one of their power forwards.
Me too. We agree.
Who just, again, sports are for entertainment. We don't get anything from a ring. We want to be happy. We're not competing.
I would definitely get some bragging rights. I don't know about you.
Of course, I mean, okay, readjusting what I said. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
An empty ring, it means nothing. An empty ring.
Fair enough. All right, dude. I appreciate your time as always, man. Go get them this semester, and I'm sure we will be bringing you back on very, very soon.
Of course. Great to be here. Good night, guys.
Stay mellow.